Hi there, it's Jansen from VMO. Welcome back to the VMO YouTube channel. Right, today I'm taking a look at tools. These are seat box essentials, stuff that I'll always take to the beach. Now, I say seat box essentials, if I'm taking a rucksack, all of this goes in the rucksack. If I'm taking a seat box, obviously it all goes in the seat box. But this is the gear that I will take to the beach, regardless of what I'm doing and regardless of what I'm fishing for. So let's take a closer look at what we've got here, and we'll start with bait tools. So I've got a couple of different bait tools here. Now, most of my rigs nowadays are dongles. I fish the dongle a lot, very effective rig. We've talked about it lots in the past. But to bait up the dongle, a baiting tool is a really useful bit of kit. You can literally lay your bait alongside the prongs of the bait tool, whip it on there, and then hold the dongle alongside the bait, whip the dongle to the bait, job done. It's like having an extra pair of hands. Slightly smaller version there, slightly larger one there for bigger baits. And as I say, if you've got partially defrosted bait and it starts to become just a little bit sloppy, it's really easy to lay it out on there, stops it sort of slipping out your hands, falling all over the place, keeps it nice and level. So yeah, we've got those, fantastic. This one I'd use for crab baits. This one I'd use for, say, sand eel, squid, bluey from a ray bait. But I wouldn't go anywhere without those really, really useful bits of kit. So moving on, pliers. Now, pliers, these, you may have seen the review I did recently. These are the new Cedra multi-tool pliers. Not just for taking the hooks out of fish, but for bending wires. They've also got a cutting blade on there. I don't get on too well with pliers in that they don't last very long for me. The last pair, they're totally rusted up now, so I've replaced them with this new set from Cedra. Nice locking mechanism on there. Great for bending wires. If you're on the south coast and you're fishing a wired lead and the tide stops running, you want to get a bit more movement to your trace on the bottom, you can take the wires out of the lead with the pliers. That's another reason to have them. So yeah, really useful bit of kit there. Pair of pliers, wouldn't go anywhere without those. Also, if you're fishing for place or flat fish in general and you're using Aberdeen hooks, you can offset the point with the nose of the pliers. Gives you a little bit of increased hooking power. So that's those. Right, now a roll of tape, electrical tape, insulation tape, whatever you want to call it. These are about 50 pence, and these really are a get yourself out of jail card. If you have an issue with a rod, if you break a ring, carry some spare rings in your box, roll of tape, and you're good to go again. Attaching your rods to your tripod if you want to travel light, if you don't want to take a rod holdall, for example, if it's peeing down with rain and you just know that your rod holdall is going to get soaked whilst you're fishing all day, these absolutely perfect. Roll of tape, wrap it all up, job done. Lots of applications really for this stuff without stating the obvious. If you were to get a cut on your finger, wrap it up in tape, you're good to go. So yeah, for the sake of 50 pence, really, really invaluable stuff. So scissors, again, quite an obvious one for cutting lines, shock leader knots, that kind of thing. If you fish over low water, you go and find a load of snagged up tackle, you can cut it out and bring it back with you. That's another use. And obviously bait preparation. You can see there's bits of bluey or something rather stuck on the blades of these from the last session out there. But yeah, back in the day, it was always about using a filleting knife to prepare your baits. And really, a pair of scissors that are as sharp as these. If you haven't used scissors yet, well, if you haven't used these scissors yet, these are the Cedra scissors, incredibly sharp. I once filleted a bass with a pair of these. They really are that good. Very sharp, nice big holes to get your hands in when it's raining, when your hands are cold and wet. Really, really effective kit. So, on the subject of knives, I do still take a knife with me. Now, I'm not a knife connoisseur by any stretch of the imagination. This is a cheap and cheerful Tronix Pro bait knife. But the thing is, these things, when they're brand new, they are ultra, ultra sharp. This one's been out a few times. The blade's just starting to go a little bit, but it will still take a fillet off a mackerel, no problem at all. So what I tend to do with knives is buy cheap and replace them every few months. Trying to get an edge back on a knife is not always easy. As I say, this is just starting to go a little bit now. I'll get a few more sessions out of this before it's time to replace it. But for the cost involved, £5 or £6, you know, it's really not worth going out with a blunt knife. Just replace it whenever necessary, job done. So we'll pop that back in its sheath. And finally, the T-bar. Now, the T-bar is something I used to use a hell of a lot. Really useful bit of kit for getting hooks out of fish. Basically, you find the bend of the hook, put the weight of the fish in the opposite direction, and just take the hook out. Simple as that. The fact of the matter now is, because I'm using dongles more often than not, the T-bar is not as effective at taking circle hooks out of fish. Because the bend on a circle hook is almost infinite, it's difficult to get a good purchase on the bend of the hook to extract it. So in that instance, I go for the pliers. With the pliers, you can just literally lock onto the circle hook, give it a twist, and out it pops. The T-bar, on the other hand, if you're using J hooks, and especially, you know, if you're fishing on a boat as well, you'll see a lot of charter skippers using a T-bar. Any fish that they don't necessarily want to bring into the boat, they can release it at the side of the boat with the use of the T-bar. Very effective. This is quite a long one. It means you don't have to go anywhere near the mouth of the fish. So if you've got something like a conger or a taupe or anything with big teeth that you don't want to go anywhere near, this enables you to get in there, get the hook out without any problem. So there you go, that's my seat box essentials, and I say seat box, but I take those also in the rucksack, all the seat box, take them to the beach every time I go. Very, very useful gear that I wouldn't be without. A lot of people talk about travelling light to the beach, but in my opinion, that's not always possible. If I was to take any of these things out to try and lighten the load of the rucksack, I'd be lost. So I hope you found this video interesting and enjoyable and informative. If you did, please consider subscribing to the VMO channel, and I'll catch you again.